So, York Archaeology is a charitable organisation that has been operating for over 50 years now. It's mainly focused around the communication of archaeology and heritage to the general public, and about the dissemination of British history. So York was actually founded by the Romans. So that was not too long after the Roman conquest of Britain. But prior to that, there are very few records of human occupation in York. I think there are a few records more of the natural environment of the area. So there are some sites that have looked at the natural environment of, say, the Bronze Age, more towards the 2nd millennium BC. But human occupation really started when the Romans arrived in the 1st century AD. Much of the walls of York basically were built on the same place that the Roman fortifications were built. So they've been there for thousands of years. The walls that exist now are predominantly Victorian, because the Victorians really liked York as a city. Tourism. Lots of people came to York because they liked the history. And again, the Victorians rebuilt a lot of the city walls because, they had this romantic idea about what medieval York looked like. And so the walls that were crumbling and falling apart, they rebuilt them. Around when it was occupied by the Vikings, it was one of the main centres for commerce in northern Britain. And you had a wide variety of people who were coming from different parts of Britain, but also from Ireland, from the continent, all coming to York to trade, especially. So it's a very multicultural society. You have people from all varieties of different places coming to live in the city. You have Nordic people, Vikings, you have the local Anglo-Saxon people, and even wider. So there are burials from York of people who originated in North Africa, for instance. So medieval society very much revolved around the church as well as the secular governance. So you have the king and his court and all that kind of thing, but the country also runs on what the church, or how the church operates. And the church was based particularly in London and York. In the church you have a particular rank called an archbishop, which is sort of a really senior level. And in the past, if an archbishop resided at a particular church, it would be known as a cathedral. But otherwise, if there wasn't an archbishop there, then it would be known as a minster, if it was a very big church. Originally, where the minster is now was where the very centre of the Roman legionary fort was.
Yeah.
So when the Romans first came and built York, that's where the centre of the fort was. Later on, when Christianity came to Britain, that is where we think the first Christian church was built by the Romans. However, it wasn't in continuous use, so at some point it stopped being used as a Christian place of worship, but was later rebuilt during the medieval period. I think Diagon Alley from Harry Potter was inspired by the Shambles.
Oh.
But yeah, it's an old medieval street that has been used as a place for butchers' shops. I think York has generally seen less industrial development than a lot of other cities in northern Britain. If you think of, say, Sheffield or Leeds or Manchester, they're these big industrial cities. Although York has always been an important city, it never developed the industry that a lot of these other places had. So it didn't change quite as much as, say, those cities did. If you go to the museum, it's very good.